Have you ever wondered whether your grandfather was there at the Normandy landings, or your great-grandfather ever fought on the Western Front? They're all questions that could be answered at the Who Do You Think You Are event at London's Olympia. Kath Brazier went to meet the true family history fans and had a quick look into her own family's past.
Delving into your family history can be a daunting task, but these days there are numerous resources available to the family history fan all the way up to the genealogy guru.
It's the small details when people bring in letters that inform about life in the trenches or that kind of pertinent information just to a soldier's daily life.
Programmes like Who Do You Think You Are, featuring celebrities tracing their ancestry, have sparked a renewed interest in this field, not least in people's ties to the military.
Most families in Britain had somebody connected with service in the First World War, and of course we have many people who've come to England or to Great Britain from our former colonies and dominions. In many cases their ancestors experienced military service, whether it was for the British or against the British, and of course they come along and look at our records as well.
Hundreds of people come to this exhibition, some with just a vague interest in genealogy, others who are determined to find out where they've come from. Now, I did a little bit of research of my own last night and put in some phone calls to both my grandmothers, and I found that not only were my military ties strong, but also incredibly interesting. So I'm off to find an expert of my own. So where do we start?
There are lots of records online, and Ancestry specialise in personnel records, mainly for the First World War, but there are other websites and also resources and institutions that will help you find more about later periods of conflict, particularly the Second World War. But the thing about personnel records is the data they contain is very sensitive, so they're closed for a long period. So Ancestry have everything for the First World War.
So if I was looking for my grandfather, example, who I know was a doctor in the army, and he was there at the Normandy landings, you're saying that this probably wouldn't be available at the moment because it's too soon?
Sadly, we can't here today using the internet, but you can certainly write off to the Army Personnel Record Centre in Glasgow and obtain a copy, an outline summary of his service history.
OK, so let's go back a generation. My great-grandfather was part of the Navy and then eventually moved into what has now become the RAF. Is that something that I could find on here?
Yes and no. First World War, there's a lot more material available. Now, Ancestry have digitised a large amount of the collections that are out there. And, of course, there are other sites, Imperial War Museum, National Archives. You need to sort of shop around, if you like.
OK, so
we start looking at the service records.
Okay.
That's right. So we click on that.
Yeah. Now, today I may have hit a dead end, but experts like Nick don't want us to be discouraged. In fact, this first step should be seen as just that, one of the paths to other avenues of research.
Some years ago, I went to the the Army Museum in London. They were doing a talk about the First World War, and I think somebody called Major Holt was doing. He won some tours, and I saw him and had a chat to him. And he got me hooked on the war, and since I've done I've been out to France and Belgium, done a few of the tours out there. Yeah.
It's a journey that's unlikely to be easy, and it certainly won't come without the occasional hiccup. But in the end, it should prove to be a rewarding one as we find out who we are.
It's quite fun. It's like going to a quiz night where people come up and ask you all sorts of things and test. It's a test for your knowledge.
Kath Brazier, Forces News, London.